Hello, today we're going to demonstrate the software and how the software works and all the different options you have. By now you should have received your device. Inside your device you're going to have a username and a password. The username goes in the account and your password goes into your password. For demonstration purposes, what we're going to do is we're just going to use, for account we're going to use demo, and for a password we're going to use demo. So on the top line, let's type in demo. The middle line we're going to leave blank. That's for if you are the owner of the tracker and you want to have other people access to the data of the GPS tracking software, but you don't want them to be able to make edits, changes, delete anything. So what happens is you give them their own username and password, and then they log in with their restricted protocols. So basically you could say to them, okay, you could view the geofences, but you can't delete them. So you could have multiple users with multiple passwords on the same account with different levels of administrative rights. For the password, we're going to put in demo. Again, you're going to put in the password that came with the tracker, and you could always change it once you log in. As soon as you log in, it's going to come up with the first tracker you have on the software. You might have one tracker, you might have 10. You can see a red teardrop, a yellow teardrop, or a green teardrop. Basically, the red teardrop, it says it's going less than 5 miles an hour. The yellow teardrop is going more than 5 miles an hour, and the green is going more than 20 miles an hour. So right now we have a red teardrop. If you highlight the red teardrop, it's going to give you basically what kind of device it is, but at this time you might have changed it to say truck 246 or John, whatever you want it to say. It's going to tell you it's basically where it is, the time it last reported, the latitude and longitude, the address if there is one. If it's on the freeway, it'll just give you the freeway name, and the speed. In this case, it's 0 miles per hour. You could also go to the top and do the drop down, and then you pick any device you want or any tracker you want, vehicle. So let's pick a different one. Let's do car 74. So car 74 came up. Again, it's standing still. You got a red teardrop. You can see exactly where it is by just highlighting the push pin. Now you have different views. You have a road view, you have an aerial view, and you have a bird's eye view. Now on the bird's eye view, you could zoom in. You could rotate around by using the half arrows on the left hand side. So you could rotate around the house. So let's say somebody's in the backyard and you want to see what location in the backyard they are. You can just rotate around the house. You can put labels on the roads to see where it is. Now we go back to aerial, because in bird's eye view you're limited to how far you could zoom out. So when you zoom out quite a bit, you want to be in aerial view. Now you could zoom out as far as a neighborhood, or you can continue zooming out as far as a state, or even the whole country. And you could zoom back in. Now I'm doing it by rolling the mouse wheel, but you could also be doing it by just hitting the positive and negatives. Now you can hit the last button and it'll bring you right back to the last location. Now let's say you want to see all your vehicles at the same time on the same map. You go to mapping and you go to device group map. So basically it's going to show you, okay, there's different locations. There's some vehicles up in New York and there's some vehicles down in Florida. So basically it's going to zoom out as far as so you could see all the vehicles at the same time. But if they're all within the same state or the same neighborhood, it's just going to zoom out as far as that particular area, the furthest point from the other location. Now let's go back to just one device. Okay, you're going to go to mapping, go to vehicle map. We're back at car 74. Now let's say we want to know where car 74 has been all day. All you have to do is hit update. Now you see that car 74 has not moved particularly within that day. So now what we could do is, let's say, okay, where was car 74 on the 27th of November? You click and highlight the 27th of November, and then you press the calendar underneath and it'll pop up. And then you hit the 27th again. And then just hit update. Now it's going to show you the whole location of where it traveled. Again, you go into road view if you want to have a better understanding. You could highlight any of these push pins and it'll tell you exactly what was going on at that particular time. So on the 11th, November 27th, at 1:23 p.m., it was going 54 miles an hour on the Meadowbrook State Parkway on Long Island, New York. That's how simple it is. Now, if you want to get a report to see what all these push pins mean, you could just hit show location detail underneath. And let's say you want to see where 96 is. It'll give you a complete report of where it was. So you just click on 96 and it'll pop up saying it was in motion and it was traveling at 63 miles per hour in the Meadowbrook State Parkway. You go back down, you can see when the ignition was turned on, turned off. Now, depending on the tracker that you have, some trackers will report the ignition on, they'll report the ignition off, they will report idle time if it's excessive idling. So basically the information that the GPS tracker sends to the server, you'll be able to gather that information. Now, if it's a portable device, on the right hand side you're going to see a little battery level. It'll tell you how much battery is left in the device. If it's a plug-in device, like this particular one is a OBD plug-in, basically it's white because it's taking the power off the vehicle. So nice and simple. On the top right hand side you'll always see the date and time when it last reported. So for a quick glance you say, okay, when was this thing last reporting? Now you could always hit last and see where it is. Now let's say you want to put it on a big display like a TV display in your office or something and just want it to update automatically. It's not a problem. Just hit auto and a timer will start. And then what's going to happen is it's going to go from 120 seconds down to 0, and then it'll give you an update of its location and it'll reset. It's like you hitting last all the time, but this, what it's going to do is it's going to hit it once every 2 minutes. So that's all the basics on the mapping and everything. So again, if you're on the East Coast, you can pick East Coast. You know, wherever you are in the world, you can pick the different time zones. So it'll change the time zones so it's easy for your territory. Now let's talk about a little bit about reports. We're going to click reports. We're going to hit vehicle detail reports. Now there's so many different kind of reports that you could pull that it would take too long in this video for me to explain everything to you via video. But let's go over some basics. Let's say we wanted to know an event detail report, okay, and we want to know from the 27th to, let's go to November 27th, 2012 to November 28th, 2012. Okay, we can hit get report. What's going to happen is it's going to pull a report and it's going to give you all the location, every update, where it was, you know, what was the status of it, the speed, the time, the location. This is a basic report. Now you get more and more elaborate. What you could do with these reports, you could email them, you could export them into Excel, you could modify them. So, you know, you can pull a lot of different reports to make it easy to what you want to do. Say like I want to know trip detail report, but I want to base it on how many engines, ignitions on offs. So let's say how many times they turn the key on and turn the key off. Okay, right here, this is where the format, it's HTML right now, so you can see it. But I could email it, I could put in CSV and XML, which is basically Excel. And then what I could do is just hit get report. Now I can see when the ignition key went on and when the ignition went off. I could see, okay, on the Meadowbrook, he was speeding. Depending on the road, it's going to give you a speed alert if the software recognizes the posted speed limits. But you could also set up what's called a rule. So basically telling the software, hey, listen, if you're going over 65 miles an hour, I want to get notified. So you could have a fleet of 5 vehicles out there, and if you want to know if somebody's traveling at excessive speed, what we could do is we could set it up so it'll actually send you a text message or an email, or both. So you can set it for whatever you want, 65, 75, 80 miles an hour, 30, it's not a problem. You'll see when they have the ignition on, ignition off. Let's go back to the main menu. Let's go back to reports one more time. So let's say we want to know excessive idling. Now, gas costs a lot these days. So basically, you know, if somebody's just leaving the car running for air conditioning or heating and they're not in the vehicle, I mean, you may want to know about it, because if they can leave it running for an hour and it'll hit your bottom line. So you can do excessive idling, hit get report. So basically on November 27th at 10:46, excessive idling. So basically the person, what they did is they turned on the vehicle, wasn't moving, let's say for 10 minutes, and was just leaving it running. I mean, you get a lot of excessive idling reports. You know, some people might leave the vehicles running for an hour, 2 hours. I mean, depending on the device that you pick, that you're using, you can pull reports. It doesn't just have to be in a vehicle. It could be in a bulldozer, a backhoe, something constructive. Let's go to device group summary. Now, let's say you have a bunch of vehicles. You could just pick reports that groups all the vehicles all together. Now let's pick reports. So you could set up the software to remind you of things like oil changes, rotate tires, change the transmission fluid. What it does is you put the mileage in on the software, the current mileage of the vehicle, then you set a boundary, say 3,000 miles for an oil change. What you would do is you would go to administration and you would go to vehicle admin. Now you would pick a device. So let's pick car 74. Again, it doesn't have to be called car 74. It could be called anything you want. Hit edit. Now over here is where I would change it from vehicle description. You know, right now it says car 74, but I could call it taxi. I could change the push pin. So basically what this thing does is over here is I could put a short name on it. So instead of seeing a red teardrop, you'll see the actual vehicle name. So you would see like the word car 74 on the screen. So you would get rid of the red teardrop and replace it for car 74. So you don't have to look at the map and say, hey, what, you know, I have a lot of vehicles on this thing. Which vehicle is that red teardrop? It'll just say car 74 now. Now you could also put in, okay, last maintenance. Say report odometer. Okay, the vehicle has 33,000 miles on it. And I want to change the oil. Do an oil change, whatever you want it to say. And let's do every 3,000 miles. What's going to happen is when the vehicle surpasses 3,000 miles, now this is GPS miles. Okay, it's not exactly the same as the miles on your odometer. It's actual GPS miles, but it's pretty close. What's going to happen is it's going to send you an email or a text, and it's going to say, hey, I need an oil change to pass 3,000 miles. And then you'll get one notification every day until you go back in and hit check to reset. Once you hit check to reset, then it will start over until another 3,000 miles, and it'll remind you again. And then just hit change. And that's pretty much how easy it is to do maintenance reports, so you get reminded of different kinds of maintenance that you need to do on your vehicle. Now let's talk a little bit about GeoZones. Just go to administration, go to GeoZone admin. Now GeoZones are imaginary boundaries. So as soon as the tracker enters or leaves a particular area, it'll notify you. It's great if you're doing like a lot of service calls and you want to know when your guys get to the job site and when they leave, especially if you're billing by the hour. So what you could do in the morning is you could set up GeoZones around all your jobs for that day. Soon as they enter, you'll get a text message or an email or both. And if you don't want to get them, that's fine. You can pull them from the report also. And as soon as they leave, you'll get another one. Nice and simple. So there's a whole bunch of them set up right here. But let's go look at this one, Skyway Bridge. Let's go to edit. Now, it's around a ship. But here's the Skyway Bridge in Florida. So what I could do is I could take this circle and I could move it right over the bridge, right over here. So when my vehicle is going to travel onto that bridge and come right into this circle, I'm going to get a notification. Now when it leaves the circle on the other end, I'm going to get another notification. And that's pretty much how simple it is. I can make it as big or as small as I want. So say I want to do it 200 meters. I'm going to hit reset map. Now it just got bigger. Now remember, it has to update within that 2 minutes. So if you make a really small circle and the timer is on 10 seconds, you have to wait till 120 seconds before it resets, you might already left that circle and you would miss that notification. If I just want to know if they arrived, I could just leave the arrive and uncheck the depart. Or I could, want both of them arrive and depart. Now, I could change the description of the GeoZone, so, to whatever I want. I could put job site 1. So let's make a quick GeoZone. I'm going to hit cancel over here. And let's call it test. You can call it anything you want. Now there's different size GeoZones, different shapes. You got point radius, polygon, and swept point radius. Again, the polygon is more if you have an irregular field, like say a football field or something, and it's not a perfect circle. You want to go around the building. So you would do something like a polygon that you could maneuver the shape to meet your needs. And then the same with pretty much swept point radius. But for now, let's just pick point radius and hit new. Now you'll see that it says task custom zone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to edit it. So let's just call this test. Let's give it a description so when the person enters the GeoZone or leaves the GeoZone, you'll know which one it is, especially if you have multiple GeoZones. Let's set the meter to, let's say, 500 meters. Now there's a lot of different ways that you could create GeoZones. One of them is, you could just zoom into a particular area and just double click on it. But let's say we want to know if they get to a certain town. We could just go in here and put a zip code. Let's put a zip code of 11558. And let's hit center on zip code. Boom. This is Island Park, New York. Okay. Now I can make the GeoZone as big as I want. Let's change it to 700 meters. I can move it to wherever I want. So as soon as they get into Island Park, I will get notified. As soon as they leave Island Park, I would get notified. But let's say I want to do something small. I want to do it. There's a particular house that I want to know if he gets to it. Let's put it on 50 meters. Let's do an aerial view, and let's say it's this house right there. Let's put some labels on it so we can see it a little better. And let's make it 30 meters to get closer to the house. Okay, so right now I got a house right there. So as soon as they get to the job, say they're doing a service there, they get to the house, they do the service, you'll get notified. As soon as they leave, they'll get notified. And just hit change. So now you just added another geozone to the software, so you can have as many geozones as you want. So in the morning you can set up the geozones, but what a lot of people do is, like, say a pool cleaning company, you know, that they have the same clients every month. What they'll do is they'll create geozones over all their jobs, and then they can prove to their customers when they get serviced and when they didn't, because sometimes they'll go to a house, you know, they'll clean the pool, and then the customer would go home saying, no, you were never here. Now they could just show them on the reports, they could email them the reports, and they could prove to them that they were there. Now on the main menu, you can make the software as complicated as you want. Say you just want to know where your parent is to make sure they're lost and not safe. So you just really want certain things like, where are they now? Did they get to the library? You know, did they get to the house or a friend's house? Or you can make it as complicated as you want for a Fortune 500 company. You know, when I say complicated, I mean just a lot of different options. So let's say this particular person wanted IFTA reports. Okay, they want to know every time they crossed a border. What you can do is you just hit IFTA, and then you can pull state border crossing. So let's do it from the 1st of November, and let's do it till November 10th. Okay, we want to see how many vehicles drove in what states. So basically, you know, you could write things off like the tax on the gas or things like that. Big companies and even small fleets, this is a big advantage to have GPS in them, because they can prove the mileage that they drove, and they could write off things. Now hit get report, and actually this person didn't do any mileage on that one, because this is the taxi. Let's do the Falcon, and that person didn't do any cross borders. Let's pick a different date. Let's pick a date of November 20th to the 30th. Okay. Well, this person stayed in New York and during those dates, and they drove 389.9 miles. So basically, you know, because you get different reports. So if they went to New Jersey and then they went to Pennsylvania, you'll have the mileage broken down within every state, and then your accountant could do anything he needs to do accordingly. Now we go back to main menu. Let's go to vehicle map one last time and see if the car left. It didn't leave. It's still there. Again, there's so many different things you can do with the software. We could continue showing you stuff on the software, but this is all the basics of it. Again, you could pull any kind of reports you want. You could customize the reports. You could export the reports. You create geozones, so basically you'll know if somebody left or somebody entered. You have different kind of mapping, different kind of views. Let's see what else. One last thing I like to just step on is geozone corridors. Okay, basically what a geozone corridor is, Let's say somebody has to deliver something, and basically you said, hey, take this road, and I don't want you to leave that road. So let me just reset the map to 10 meters. Okay, what you could do is you create a corridor and say, listen, this is the route I want you to take, and you can maneuver the route to anywhere you want. And as soon as they leave that particular route that you set up with them, you'll get notified. So say something expensive. Listen, I want you to go this road, this road, this road. As soon as they veer off your predefined route that you set for them, they'll get notified. You'll get notified saying, hey, this guy's not taking your route. He's going someplace else. Let's go back to the main menu. So when you first log in, we can set it up that you log in right to the reports if you want. We can set it up to log in right into the mapping. We can set it up to log into a group map, anything you want. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please don't hesitate to call us if you have any questions concerning this. Again, you should be all set for reports, mapping, all the basics, and you can't break the software. Okay, so go in there, play with it, pull what kind of reports you want, and enjoy it, and just have fun with it. As you see right now, when we went back, we changed it to Car 74, so the red teardrop is gone, and now it just says Car 74. Alright, great, thank you, and have a great day, and we hope to service you in the future, and please call us with any needs you may have. Good day.